half a corner couch. My name is Karabo Ntshweng, and for this episode, I am your host. We are talking about the business of me in the digital era. We've been speaking to so many creatives that are really shifting culture, and today we're doing exactly that. My two guests are creatives that are absolutely incredible with a wealth of knowledge in what they do and where we are headed. Now, social media and its power has shifted black images, has shifted how we look at brands and how brands look at us, and really just shifting a whole lot of ways that marketing and brands work. Where are we going? How did we get here? And what does the future look like? I've got Nkuley Masemola, who calls himself an internet persona. He's definitely going to explain that. And then we've got artist Lulama, who I think when we're talking about a digital era, that is somebody that you can never not bring into the conversation because we have to start somewhere, right? And I think she's the perfect person to have when you are starting there. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Lulama, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I mean, it's been over a decade now that you've been in this business, right?
It's been that long.
It has really been that long. And in a world that is very new as well. So when I think Lulama, I think blogger, I think Tumblr days, I think Instagram fully. And then your career has transformed and evolved and adapted for so long. Those who are fans have adapted along with you. Tell me about the moment you realized, oh, this is not a hobby, this is, I'm going to start getting money from this. Yeah.
I fresh out of high school, and everyone has a computer that works.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all into visual literacy for some reason. I mean, when you're in high school studying art or visual, anything, you find yourself just being interested in what visuals are. And that's just always been me. I've always been an artist. I've always loved using my hands. So
you drew?
Yes.
Okay.
As a means to an end, the computer offered a world that I never knew. And that allowed me to tap into other worlds. So Tumblr did that very well.
Yeah.
And that's why the age of a Tumblr kid then started. Right now, I'm like, send me cringe, send me, yeah, I'm proud of that. But there's a balance between the cringe and the pride that I have in it. So now, fresh out of high school, I get into UJ, and now I'm in a faculty that supports what I do, that allows you to fully digitize yourself in a world where art exists physically, but you can also exist online.
Yes.
So I did that as a hobby. And as soon as, because Johannesburg also allows you to get to know people who are different and people that do different things. So that allows you to collaborate with so many other people. I was in faculties, the photographers, filmmakers, sketch artists, painters. Everyone was around me, and there was an ecosystem that we all built to get the image out. I remember a friend of mine, Trevor, who at the same time just got into Elle magazine as the reporter at that time. And I was like, okay, let's muse it out. What do we do? So we're kids trying to really explore what we're doing. And he was also at UCT, and we were all trying to figure out what this visual language that we're forging for each other. Because at that time, we were only inspired by what the computer could allow us to see. So it then turned into a job, because now people start seeing what you're doing. I didn't necessarily internalize it too much at that time, because there was a few people that were really into it that way. So I didn't put too much pressure on myself to get it right. I only did what was great to do at that time. And then while exploring my creativity and literally going through life as an artist, as an overall visual artist, I started taking visual artistry seriously. So that's why my persona or my visual image for people decided to be distinct. So I decided to make decisions that support that and that support what I want to be perceived as an artist, before just Lulama having fun as a hobby in UJ, doing, living her life. So I've always cultivated that language for myself very early on. And I think I've just stuck with it. And it's something now, as an artist who paints and has to almost still protect that, I still have to protect an image of self because it's intellectual property at the end of the day. So there's a protection that I still have to implement with how I visually present myself. So 10 years now, when you say it, it's wild because it doesn't feel like it.
It's a
because
decade,
there's
honey.
a lot that
Hey,
happens
granny.
in between that doesn't justify the time that one puts into it.
Yeah.
Not knowing what it actually requires from
At
someone.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nkuley, you've been at this for about 5 years now.
5,
and
yeah.
like, if somebody meets Nkuley right now, if you are potting in Joburg and you meet Nkuley in the streets of Joburg, he is this amazing person who represents the queer community so well because you're very vocal about the community that you represent and the work that you do as well. But most importantly, someone would meet you and be like, oh, Nkuley the DJ who also, collaborates with
Very
brands,
confusing, girl.
Adidas, whatever, global, honey, this is me. But you didn't just kick off as a DJ.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Zero.
So tell me about that. This is Nkuley, me, the person who's amazing in front of the camera. And if you follow me and you follow my work, you'll know that. But someone also who might come to Groove and hear me play, or someone in spaces where we're speaking about the queer community and challenges and whatever it is.
They'll
Or
just know me as
even at party, you'll know that I'm part of that conversation.
Yeah.
How did it get to that?
So it's actually really crazy hearing you speak about that because, again, I'm gonna play it out to everyone. And everyone knows that, like, one of the first people that I looked up to as a kid was you. And
Don't say that. 'Cause
I mean, it is.
you're
It's
old.
the truth, though. God, I said 5 years, 10 years. It's crazy difference.
I hear you.
Yeah, in that space, yes.
So it's like, I never realized that it became a job for you. Because for me, it was like I was looking at someone live their life, but also visually document it, and that's what I wanted to do. It's like, and I saw that from the hood. No one was doing that.
Which hood?
I'm from Zitsubeni.
Kego.
Exactly.
No, but really, where is that?
So I'm from. It's a small. I'm from a paper town. It's not existing in the map. It's not. I could never place it on the map. Nothing. I'm from Bronkhorstspruit. I can say that so that you guys can find me.
Okay, that's outside of Pretoria,
You know what I mean?
close to Mpumalanga.
And exactly.
Okay, got
Somewhere
it.
there, Star was born.
So very small town.
Yes, very
You must be the
remote.
most famous person.
I was the first one to have an iPhone, of course. But exactly. So in that time, it's like I never saw it. I just had I just knew who Lulama was.
Because you had an iPhone.
I had an iPhone and I had a Tumblr. That's it.
Tumblr, you had data as well.
Instagram
so
had not
internet.
existed
And that's
before.
funny. I grew up the same way.
You confuse me because then, and like, I'm so glad we're having this convo. And I mean, I've had many conversations with you before we even kicked off this episode, but like, your language switches. Somebody walks in and is speaking in Nguni language, you're switching to them. Then you come in and there's been an influence of Pretoria that I heard in the way you speak as well. Then there's like the Sotho that sounds like very Sotho, like, where are you from?
That's mother.
And maybe other people know, but I don't.
I'm from a small town as well.
Yeah.
Paris, in the Free State, like an hour
Oh, you're from
away.
Paris.
Exactly.
What?
Oh,
Yes.
honey, you haven't researched Mata.
You don't know mother.
No,
like you
but
say
mother
you
also lied about her life the same way as I did. She didn't let anybody in until like
All right,
2
so
years
small
ago.
town girl as well.
Yeah, fully.
Small town honey too.
And the thing is-
so you've got the internet, you've got a
it.
phone,
That's all I
and
have.
you are now experiencing
Where I
these
come
people.
from is in my artist statements. That's how you get to know about me, through my work.
Period.
So I never want to create an environment of confusion through social settings. So if you want to know me, I want you to go there.
To learn.
love
I want
Learn
you to
about
learn.
it.
Like if you really want to know that there's an Eiffel Tower in Paris, you're gonna know that in my artist statement.
That is
that
so
exists.
beautiful for someone also who's grown up in your era in terms of
Yes.
the digital space, right?
Paris,
And that's been following your work for like literally a decade now. That is something I'm only discovering now because that's exactly it. Karabo, go to my work, watch it carefully. You'll know where I'm from.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't hide it. It's
Yeah.
just something that I know that there's a way you need to communicate the most important things about you. And I don't think just giving it to everything and everyone requires me to do a lot. I need to say, okay, this is what I do. How I package it is the way. And I mean, as I grow older, I'm like, come on, just calm down. You don't have to do all of that.
Yeah.
But then it was so important for me that I needed to cultivate a real story. And that story needed to come from somewhere because where I come from requires me to be honest, right? And then the transitions that I've had to
real.
make in my life and the success story that I needed to make needed me to be honest in that way, so that I
get
don't
that.
confuse the story. You know, so and it's also important to me because then it informs the work that I do, it informs the painting, it informs how I inspire anyone else that cares enough to say like you, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can tell that you speak this language, da 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 da.
Because I feel represented.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not a small town girl myself, you know what I mean?
I used-
I've grown up in Joburg all my life, but I feel represented by your work.
Hearing you say that is so crazy because I used to be so humiliated about how, from where I was from. Because I
Really?
thought that everyone is from Joburg, everyone is from Pretoria. I used to thought everyone was from Pretoria because it just
Sounded
was
cooler.
easier. Yeah, it sounded cooler to say. Like I was like, if I tell someone I'm from Zitobeni, no one really knows where I'm from. Everyone's from some Soweto. Like I was around spaces where everyone was from somewhere. Like when I got to Joburg, they asked me, "What high school did you go to?" I'm like, "Girl, you don't know where Nkutumela High is.
You got to my
You
guy.
don't know where that is. You really don't."
So let me not even mention it, honey.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
my entire life I felt so pathetic. And yeah, I really did. I'm sorry, that's the word that I'm using.
Yeah.
But like, dead ass, because I didn't see anyone like me for a minute. I was a Tumblr girl, so all I knew was like this aesthetic of like black girls that knew themselves really well. I've had multiple interviews where they asked me like, "Oh, what happened when you were being bullied?" And I was like, "I never got bullied." And everyone is like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, because that's the queer narrative that you guys know. Like, oh, because you were, not that word, but if you were gay in high school, then you were bullied." And I'm like, I would not know if I was being bullied because I did not really care.
So now, what happens when you grow up in such a small town and you are you Nkulego, who's gay?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
were you openly gay?
I was. Oh, I never hid it.
And so people always assume, and and I think that's why it's so important to speak about our history and where we're at right now, because the main assumption somebody would have is, Nkulego that's growing up gay. In a small town, in a small school, definitely
much is
bullied
happening.
because everybody's story is the same, right? Your
Exactly.
story is so different. But what was that like?
it was jarring because I think I had to like, for me, it was like I just had to accept everyone's personality. It was which I think what I do now. That everyone comes at me with like this very hyper thing, and I'm like, oh, that's just who you are. And that's what I think bullying was for me, because my brothers was gangsters. If you want to try it. But essentially, because I was raised in a home where everyone really accepted me. I didn't also give them the option to not. So it was like, I didn't have the mentality to be like, oh, I have to quiet myself down. I have to. No, girl.
It's always been you.
No, it's only me.
Yeah.
That's all that I had. It's like,
Yeah.
it's me. This is it that I have. This is who I am, and this is all that I have to protect. So all I ever cared about growing up was protecting who I really was. And it was really hard because I don't think anyone speaks about that. I don't think anyone speaks about how staying true to yourself is the hardest thing you can do because there's so many influences around you.
Yeah.
And so that's what I have to keep on fighting growing up. I had to keep on fighting that in high school because if I didn't do that, then I was the weirdo of the group, and I wish I didn't really care. I love being different. I was like, yum. Yeah. And like, so growing up and coming to Joburg and like realizing that I thought that I didn't have a story because I did not go through struggle. You know what I mean? Like, you know Joburg. Like, they want you to struggle so bad. But I'm like, girl, I'm from a smallest town where, I
My
mean,
struggles are not about
not at
how
all.
I am perceived by you. It's what I'm here to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how you perceive me is the least of my worries.
So when
And
you
it's so whack.
come to Joburg, and I mean, Joburg's insane, right?
It is.
Joburg's insane. Everyone's got their own thing going on. This one's famous. This one comes from a rich family. This one's come from a
Oh, the rich
a
family,
famous
girl.
family. All these different things. People have been exposed to many different things that you haven't even been exposed to, whatever. They might even have a certain attitude towards you coming from a small town, even as a creative. Because you come to UJ and you meeting Karabo, who's at the National School of the Arts. Okay. So I've been doing art long before you, you know, being exposed to broadcasting, in all these like lights of Joburg, whatever, way before you have. How do you then like fit into the culture of Joburg, fit into because Joburg is a certain like aesthetic, and I can imagine in other big cities in the country as well. Like if you go to Cape Town and you come from the outskirts of Cape Town, you get to Cape Town and it's different. So how do you get into this city, and the city that has been like this for many people, even generations before us?
For years.
Right? That, you know, has a certain aesthetic, certain culture, certain like coolness about it, and like assimilate yourselves into that culture and even like forge your own path. So how does Lulama from Paris get to Johannesburg, be a UJ student, visual student and whatnot, but like still feel like your work is important in what you're doing and your Austins and other people that you are collaborating with in that space, like that you matter and your story matter, and it's not just the cool kids of Joburg that matter.
I love that question.
So when one decides to be a creator, they decide to take a responsibility of honesty and truth to what they're doing. And I decided a very long time ago that that's my decision. I am deciding to use my hands and I'm deciding to use my mind to bring a new perspective, right? And it evolved in many ways. It wasn't one thing. So I never took offense to the fact that I changed a lot in my practice and in what I do. I just
You
implemented.
did not. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you really didn't, and I appreciate you for that.
Mother.
No, did I? If I gotta say it 5 times today.
I just wanted to evolve my eye in how I see things. So coming into an environment like this, it wasn't jarring for me because I already know what my intention was coming into it. Yes, there are distractions. Yes, you're young. You want to feel out the vibe. You want to know how you fit into the system and where you are. But I don't think I've ever been far removed from the intention, simply because I worked with a very small unit. And that unit almost makes you feel like you've got control of your bubble. So the bubble that was created back home is the bubble that I still use now.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? There's 4 people in my house. There's 4 people in my house today. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't expand and try and challenge the system. I allow it to come to me, and the people that are supposed to be in my orbit always exist in every phase of my creativity. So now where I'm at, I am at a place where the intentionality that I came with as an artist has been seen as a blogger and content creation. That was a beautiful time in my discovery of being here. But now it has pushed me to a global understanding of who I am. Now I have to take Lulama from Paris to Europe.
Paris.
Now I have to take Lulama to Hong Kong. I need to take that perspective, take that history, and almost multiply that perspective so that the work that I do is duplicated whether I'm here or not. So that's how I've always positioned myself in understanding what I did and in understanding how I relate to people like Nkuley, where I can see that you're doing it the way that you're supposed to, and that is you evolving. Don't mistake it for anything. It's the right time, it's the right intention, and you know exactly how you're going to keep evolving.
But so many people on the internet have access to you, right? They've got like immediate access to giving you comments, literally everything, right? I can like just DM you and tell you nonsense. I can write it right there in your post, in the comment, and you'll see it immediately. And Nkuley, who's sitting in a very small town in, you know, at the outskirts of Pretoria, following your work on Tumblr, following your work when you started as an influencer on Instagram. Instagram was barely like beginning. Guys, remember when we used Snapseed to like edit our photos?
The logo with the...
Snapseed is actually the best app right now. I don't know why.
It's so like amazing now. I remember
so
we used to use it back then. So how then do you, as an artist, a creator, how does that evolution happen of Lulama, right? Where I know you as this kind of creator, I know you being an influencer or whatever, then Lulama is an artist, visual paintings, all these things. And somebody that might not know your history and know like, guys, I went to university to study this thing. What I'm doing right now is not just me just waking up and changing my mind. I want to evolve, I want to adapt or whatever. First and foremost, that's actually who you are, that's what you trained in. But when you're going through this evolution and this change, for people who are not receiving that, how do you manage that? Because I think it's happening with a lot of creators, right? I can't imagine that you can start as this kind of creator, you grow, you evolve, this happens, or you have a family, you know, and that changes. Like we change as people,
about it, where we are right now, a lot of people don't take a liking to transitioning.
Yes.
At all.
They don't.
No one likes change.
No one likes change. Even in your own personal life, you could look at the times where
and I'm never going to feel like I'm better than anyone. I'm like, no one really likes change. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I hate change.
Do you know
Makes me anxious.
I mean, why must I change? So when you get to the point where you have to, it's not easy for anyone to change themselves. Because now you have to communicate a new language to the same people that have been watching you do something completely different.
Yeah.
So I understand they feel cheated somehow.
Yeah.
Like, how can you?
How?
Yeah.
But I still learned to not take offense to it. I just had to stay the course. I said, yeah, you can be angry at that, but at the end of the day, you'll understand what I was trying to do if you really wanted to understand what I was doing.
Let's talk about evolving and changing as an artist. A lot of people know Lulama from how they would have known Lulama when you started your career. Like, this is the person that's posting dope photos on Instagram and starting to collaborate with all these incredible brands and whatnot, right? To you adapting and evolving so much as an artist throughout the years, same being a visual artist and all the other work that you've done, even though you've still collaborated with incredible brands and whatnot, but like Lulama Wolf today is not the Lulama Wolf that I could have followed for the first time in 2013 or 2015.
Sure.
What was that like? And just audience and losing an audience who doesn't resonate with you anymore,
Yes.
gaining a new audience, and those who decide to stay. Because that's also, I mean, not everybody decides to stay
100%.
and grow with
That's
you.
a
So
real
crazy
question.
because I'm a very decisive person when I put my mind into something. I may struggle with making the decision for a long time,
Yeah.
but when it arrives, I almost don't include anyone's opinion.
Oh, I love that.
You know, I make it solely my goal to go for exactly what I think is going to work at that time. Yes, there's support that comes from family, friends, and my support system. But when it comes to making the decision for me, I almost understand what that would take. But I always known that in losing, right, that was something everyone was like, you're going to lose a lot of followers.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a lot of people.
You're going to lose in general.
You're going to lose. And I did. And I did lose.
Really?
Yes, and I did lose. And I lost a lot of trust. I lost a lot of, but you could have gone so far. Because I was already in fashion weeks and H&M in Paris. And I was
You lost a lot of belief also.
a lot of people did not necessarily understand what decision I was making because I never let anyone in anyway, you know. So from the get-go, it was always a matter of it's just my work, it's just what I do. So for me to change and not inform or ask, it also was silently also because I've never had public bullying or people coming for me in that way because I've always kept my distance from that kind of, you know, persona. But I've always also wanted to make people understand that it was purely about the work from the get-go.
It was never about me.
It was never about me.
But that's the thing though, when you are the business.
You are the work.
When
That's what I was thinking
Lulama
about
Wolf
right
is
now.
the face and Nkuley
you are the
Masemola is the
work.
face. You are the business, you are the work. And that's what sells you to brands in the beginning, right? That's what gets you into Fashion Week. That's what gets you on covers of magazines, on, I mean, awards. If you go into any sort of award, brands working with you, you are the face. So when you decide in your career that I'm going to separate, is that like easy?
It's not because I'm an
Just say-
introvert by nature.
Yeah.
I understand my personal space very, very like distinctively because I know I'm sensitive to social anxieties and everything that comes with being perceived. I don't mind respect, right? I don't mind respect of what I do, respect of who I am, respect of how I look. I don't mind that. What I do have a problem with is engaging in it for too long to create familiarity because I get scared, right? And that's a vulnerability I've always been sure about, that I don't tap into that too easily. So when I decided that I'm transitioning, there were personal conversations with industry mates. They're like, are you sure? And then I take solace from that because then how it translates, the support now compared to then is much more significant to how it looked then because I'm growing up, you know, I'm becoming something completely different. And you can understand when Frank Ocean shuts up for 4 years.
Yeah.
You can't understand when Lulama does it.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
So I've always wanted that understanding to be extended to someone like me with a personality like mine. And then we can start talking about the intricacies of transitioning
It's so
into
trippy to
anything.
hear you speak out loud because I feel like everything you're saying is the person that I've only now have become. Like every single part, like when you spoke about, sorry to cut into
No,
this,
no, yeah.
but it's like every part that you spoke about, like when you were like, at home there's 4 people and that's who I take now. It's like I was never given that opportunity to like easily relate to my family like that because I don't think they've ever had anyone like me. They've never had like this one, because I mean I'm sure there's a bunch of closeted gays in my house. Like I don't believe all y'all are straight. You know what I mean, type of question. But like it's like I insisted on being myself. And it was because I saw the women around me and they insisted on it. Like I don't think my mom or my sisters or anyone, like I don't think they know how to be anyone else but themselves.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I was raised like that. And it's like when I got to like Joburg culture, it's like, oh my God, everyone is just like taking, and that's what I do. I've always said that like I'm made up of so many people. That's who I am. That's what my authenticity is. So when I hear you speak, it's like, oh my God, this is who I am now. Like your first discovery of who you were is my kind of liberation, and it's so cool to see. Like it's an affirmation to see someone speak about like, oh, this is how I knew that this was happening.
But you're also extremely talented in what you do.
Yeah,
with your
and I'm
hands.
glad to finally realize it now because I don't think that I was given that space before, and it's so cool to see now.
Do you find it difficult when you are in the room with people that feel like they are more experienced than you in what you're doing, or people that don't understand your career? Because at the end of the day, social media and the digital era is very new. It's new careers that everybody's still trying to figure out. Like we're getting there, but let's be honest here, right? The rules keep changing, it keeps evolving, adapting. Then Lulama as well will also transition and moving into a different space within that world. But do you think it took some time to be taken seriously? Do you feel like you're taken seriously when you are in the room with other visual artists who have done that since the beginning and have never been part of like the digital era and social media? What are those spaces like when you're navigating them?
Yes, I feel it, right? I see it. I hear it in the conversations and the questions that there's a little bit of trying to fish for information in the spaces that we are. But again, if I'm set on something, I don't shake. I only observe and I receive, but I don't try to change someone else's opinion. I don't think I care that much because it's how they perceive the situation, you know? It's how you see it. And I don't want to fault you for seeing me in that way. I just want you to live in the truth. But if I decide to change it, let that be the truth, you know? So where taken seriously is concerned right now, I still feel quite young in what I do. I don't think I know everything. There's so much to learn and there's so much to kind of see because every time I'm just like, you know nothing, oh my goodness, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Especially in their world.
In art compared to creating, you know that there's...
Yeah, girl.
And you are quite multidisciplinarian in that sense that you go into worlds that you kind of have to prove yourself and you say, these hands work. And they work, okay? But now you have to say, how do I take myself seriously, but in the same breath not pay too much attention to that? So now where I'm sitting is that, okay, I know nothing, and that's that.
And I'm willing to learn and I'm teachable and let's have a conversation and grow with me.
What I did want to say, so to carry on that conversation, I'm a cutter. But essentially, I wanted to say that, like, I feel like and everyone hates the word bodies since black people started using it, but as black people and black creators who came into the industry as digital people, because I feel like everything is made for the average person, and I'm just like, to be in this world and to create like a space where you aren't necessarily like, oh my God, I went to like art school. And because we don't have that the same accessibility, and that's what I appreciate about just like we have the same sort of like systems of growing up where I wasn't in the best art school. I didn't know who's the great painter. Like exactly. It's like and when I get there, it's like it's all these white people, and now I've learned that I'm black. So like I'm only looking to look for black painters, for black creatives, for black artists. And it's that when you get into that space, there's so much of like, I don't take you seriously because you don't know who John Galliano is. That's a fashion guy. I know who John Galliano is, but like essentially in that space, like it's so demeaning and it's so jarring to never have like, and I love that word because it really is, it's that word, it's jarring. You don't see people like you get to experience those experiences. Like, I'm gonna say words. I don't think Madonna was the best singer. I don't think she was the best performer. I don't think she was. I don't think the next white girl after that was the best of that. But look at Beyonce. She had to literally break her back to become the woman that she is.
Do you guys feel like that in the space right now in
I don't
2023
want
as
to
black
feel like
creators
that
you still have to, like as a black woman in broadcasting, for me personally, even in 2023, I still feel like I need to work five times harder, right? And break my back. But in your space where there is so much attention on black creators to the point that you guys are influencing advertisers, marketers, brands that we consume are influenced by black creatives. So many of the trends, I mean, there's a whole conversation on TikTok in particular where black creators are like, hold on, we're literally influencing every single culture, every single trend, you know, and you're not acknowledging us enough. Or, you know, advertiser will still take our trends that we create and like make millions out of that. How do you feel in 2023 as black creators? Do you feel like you are being acknowledged for the trends that you are setting, the work that you're putting in? Or does Lulama Wolf in 2023 still feel like she has to work 5 times harder than everybody else?
Yes and no.
As a black woman?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. It's a balance. I don't want to give credit to lack. You know, I find it very impossible to tap into it because when you're already working hard, you still have to tap into understanding that you deserve it. And then you have to tap into the fact that you're doing it. Then you have to tap into the fact that you're talented. Then you have to tap into the fact that you have to make money. You know what I mean? There's so many things you have to do to then say, I deserve being here.
Yeah.
So when I say yes and no, I can say that yes, I do understand the privilege that I am awarded in understanding that, okay, I have abundance in this particular setting, but I also don't have the freedom to be able to do everything.
Black creators influencing culture. So many of the brands that we consume right now are influenced by the work that black creators are doing and the images you guys are putting out. Everything is very like youth focused, Africa focused, South Africa focused. It's a lot of work being done by black creators, right?
True. And what I want to tap into, and I know you've seen it, I know you have, and they've given blackness an image. And it's like you have to conform to it.
What do you mean?
No, they've given blackness an image.
What's the black name?
Fully, okay, I can go. We know the words Africanacity, and I'm not going to say who said it.
Not African.
Girl, it wasn't back if it was. But like, they've given blackness some sort of an image. And it's almost like if you don't conform to that, you are not, you don't get the black card.
You don't seem like somebody that conforms at all to me.
I'm blonde, girl.
That's what I'm saying. So what are you conforming to? Do you feel like you have to conform?
No, thing is,
as a creator?
I know.
Okay.
I do feel like I have to conform. There's always this, like it's a yes and a no question again.
Yeah.
You have to conform to a certain point to make your money. Everybody knows that. And everyone acts like they don't really have to. But like everyone knows that they've really gone through, you've read a contract,
How much creative freedom do you guys have in your work? And are you guys, because we are on the outside looking in, right? So I'm a social media user that's scrolling, and I mean, I see the work that you do. Or Lulama, I'll go on a website, I'm trying to buy like items for my home, and I'll see your latest collaboration. Love that. I'm just consuming from my screen, right?
depends on
but
who you
how
are.
much work or how much say do you guys have in the rooms that you are in when you collaborate with Adidas? And I mean, that's a global brand, right? How much say do you have?
Depends on
Lulama,
who
when you are with a Superbalist or whatever other brand that you're collaborating with from your line of work, how much say as black creatives do you guys have in the room?
In the beginning, you don't have.
Okay.
Not much.
No, you don't have much to say also, because you're only learning the ropes of what is actually happening. And once you find yourself in the boardroom, you're like, I don't think I should be talking right now. I think I should be watching.
This is not my moment.
Yeah.
This is not my time to shine, really. But I think now, where I am, I think I am given room to speak. I think I have more freedom because everything that I do is mine.
Yes.
And it's in collaboration with other brands and in collaboration with other entities and artists. But you're given room when you're seen. You know, you're given a platform when you're seen. And I think I've worked a good amount of time to now cultivate a good understanding between corporate and rooms to say, Lulama, tell us, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, me? Oh, I thought you'd never ask. You know what I mean? And then I start talking about it. And then they say, how can we make that vision come to life? That's where collaboration now starts coming in. Is that they have the resources, right? They have the understanding, they have the system, but they also see what you're trying to contribute to that system. So then they bring you forward. I don't know if it's a time thing that one has to go through. Now you have to work 10 years like me to get to be seen. No, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. You should be seen from the get-go.
Yeah.
But I also understand that it takes time. Now that I have to work for myself in my own system, I know I take time in understanding what kind of ideas are you bringing into this?
Yeah.
Do you have the?
You know what
I mean?
You're gonna say with your chest.
Exactly. And if I have someone collaborating with me, now I have to do a whole check on them and say, do you know what you're doing? So that you and I can know what we're both doing, so that we don't confuse the audience, because what we do lives way past where we are.
Yeah.
We're going to go and leave these things here. So the proof of that is the fact that you existed enough to make it tangible. You need to be very sure about, even if you weren't sure at that time, but you need to be proud of it. That's the work that you create at that time. So then, in the rooms that I'd be in, I'd be very much told that this is how we do things. And I'd be like, yes, but can you meet me halfway? And they would meet me where they can. And it would be my choice to accept it or not. And then if I needed it based on circumstance, I'd say, yeah, sure, okay, let's go. But if I don't need it, I can then stand my ground. That's how you learn how to be braver in decision making. And that's how I can now be brave in decision making today.
How brave are you in decision making, Nkuley, at this stage of your career, 5 years
I
old?
can't keep on saying that every time I hear her speak, it's like hearing where I am in life right now.
Yeah. Do you
It's
feel brave?
tripping
Do
me
you
out.
walk into a global brand that you're collaborating with at that moment and say, Nkuley wants ABC, and this is what I think could make this collaboration work? Or how's that for you?
Yes, of course I do.
Yeah.
But it's obvious. It's also because of you went through like the whole you don't get to speak, you don't, and because you spoke in that moment, it means that layover means that I get to start from where you stopped.
Yeah, because
So
then
now-
they get used
yeah,
to
then they
people
get to
speaking up,
use-
and
exactly,
they'll treat the
so-
people that come before like after.
And that's why I said that it
Wow.
depends on who you are, because I've been in rooms where I can see that one kid can't really say, I don't want to wear this. And it's the simplest things for brands. It's like,
It's very small.
It's very small.
It's not even the money.
They know
the
what, the money is.
The money is the last part.
Okay,
It's
girl.
the,
Like,
do you
yeah,
like
get
where
to
you're
that.
sitting right now? Do you know that you're going to be seen in this way? And because you're an image maker, that is important.
Yeah, and there's people that they don't tell that. And I've seen it happen in real life, and I'm like, oh, that's where I used to be. You know what I'm saying? So I got distracted. And so like when I have this conversation now, I just think of like where I've been, and like I didn't have to work that hard to get into a room where I'm like, I don't want to wear that. I don't want to get that makeup on. I don't want to say those words. I don't stand for that. I don't. But they still obtain the fact that you are the person that we want to stand for this brand. And I feel like that's mainly because you stood for that, and that's kind of cool to see now. Because like,
But
it's
how
like,
do you be authentic when you're still young and trying to find yourself? Because in this line of work, you have to be extremely authentic, right? It needs to
Yeah.
be you trusting the work that you're doing at that time. Even if you know, I'm still figuring it out and I'm still young in the game, or I'm 21, I'm 25, I'm 27, I'm 30, you're still trying to figure out so many things. But how do you like balance that? You being a little unsure,
authenticity is scary.
but like, and not fully realizing your purpose and all these things, but still being so true to yourself. Like, did you ever find a time where you struggled with your voice? Did
Yes.
you struggle with your voice as well, Nkuley? Finding your voice, your image. It's like an artist, right? Every artist gets to a point where I'm recording music, I'm putting it out there, but only at a certain time they're like, oh, I found my voice. So you as an artist had to find your voice.
Yes.
Nkuley, you had to find your voice as a creator, as a DJ.
I don't take research for granted.
Okay.
I think
Same.
I live my life based on finding the answer when I don't know it. Like I will search anywhere to find it. And the work that I do now allows me to freely explore what research actually is. And it could be a topic as small as where I come from.
Yeah.
If I need to go find who that great granddad was that took us to Lesotho, and then Lulama now speaks Lesotho, Xhosa, le eng. At the same time, I need to find out where that comes from. So that's how I take research so seriously. And that's when I said earlier that I can't know everything. So I need to always keep finding something. I'm a bit of a digger,
Yeah.
you know, in what I do. And the more digging I do, the more proud I become in expressing myself in these rooms that can say, but do you know what you're talking about? And I say, yes, because I've had to find my voice in all of it. And that then needs what? Like research. Now you
Love
can
that.
reference what I've said because I've looked for it for myself. And now that creates history, right? That creates a body of work. That creates me understanding what I'm doing. So now when Lulama is in a different country, I can then say, based on the research that I've needed to do for myself, this is what I found. I still don't know much, but now that I'm here, where you guys are intrigued by what I am trying to research, you can then look into that through my work.
Why are they so intrigued in us at the moment? And I mean, look, I think we come from a special place, with it being South Africa, that globally, people have always been interested in us, right? It's the harsh laws of apartheid and that ending, Nelson Mandela getting out of prison. So immediately, everywhere you go, that's the first thing, right? That would always be the first thing. Oh, Nelson Mandela when you say South Africa. But fast forward many years later, this is like now over 30 years later, creatively and in our spaces, their entire world is like watching and they want to work with Lulama from Paris, South Africa. And those influences, or Nkuley, you know what I mean? There's so many people, and whether it is in visual storytelling or in our movies or in our music, that's also a great export, right? In our music as well. But where do you guys think that's coming from at the moment now, 2023, post-COVID? Why is everybody looking at us?
I think it's people like Nkuley that are sure, right? In the different people that they are. And when you attract someone like that, you're attracting people that exist everywhere, you know. So the only difference that they have is that they're based here, on the continent that has untapped knowledge. Exactly. That's the only difference, is that there's untapped knowledge, but the talent is the same. The drive is the same. The access to knowledge and social media and the internet is the same. It's just that when they find themselves in a different space and they say, where are you from? And they say it, that's intrigue. That's currency. And that currency comes from, again, the research of saying there are different types of people that exist. The femininity that I have as an artist today, having to explore the global scene as an artist, is different to, you know, in music, in fashion, in modeling, and presenting yourself as an image that exists in that time. We have images of Marilyn Monroe and faces like Miriam Makeba. These are faces that have transcended time. And when we look into the history of beauty, we get to understand what beauty actually exists in Africa. we can say Mam Winnie Mandela has a historic face. We can look at Nomzamo in Shaka Zulu and say, wow, she has the, oh, Henry Cele in Shaka Zulu. We can say, we can identify that image as an historic face. But when we bring it back to where we are, the reason why there is intrigue is because we've got history that is untapped. And even though we have access to this knowledge and these platforms, we still don't have proof
Of anything.
of anything.
At all.
So we need to create the proof from some kind of base and foundation to say, look, I have a history that comes from this point. There's a gap that I've missed between my ancestors and my own personal history, so that I need to tap into it to understand how to perceive you in that world. But I understand what you're saying. You're the West, right? You know much. I also know enough about you, but I need to teach you about what I have to offer.
What you do not know. What do you want to do with the platforms that you have been afforded right now? And I think I cannot imagine what it feels like at the moment, where the queer community, everybody's interested, everyone's intrigued as well, right? Besides being just a black body that is creative and whatnot, and everybody just being intrigued by you, but like you are representing an entire community as well.
But see, for me, it's like that always comes into play almost unconsciously, like I told you. It's like my voice comes from frustration. So coming from a remote town where you can't really speak about anything, but you have all these thoughts happening in your head, and you can mostly say them in English, really. And like the only people that listen are people from Tumblr in Atlanta or something. And so when now that the focus is suddenly on Africa, it's because I don't think that black voices have ever been heard, ever before. So it's so insane to people to listen to our stories. Like, people never knew who Pinky Pinky was, and now that they know, it's like it's a crazy concept. They want to make the greatest movie about it. And that's what's driving me at the moment. It's like, I love being enticing. I love being someone's fantasy. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It's like, if you don't know me, you want to know me. And I don't give too much of myself. I give people what I want them to look at. But other than that, and I feel like that's what blackness is doing now. It's frustrating to the other cultures that you don't really get it. It's like, you can have all the BBLs you want, girl. You can have, you can have
But
all the...
you'll never get it like we do.
You'll never get it like we do. And like, I feel like that's what we really have at the moment, and that's what I'm capitalizing on.
What can brands in the queer space, now that we're in this conversation, do better? Because I
can
think they're trying
start.
to figure it out. I think
They can start.
You don't think they've started?
I don't think so. No. No. I don't think so. I mean...
You don't think they've started?
No,
There's
I
so
don't.
much representation.
I
That's
don't
why
think
you have
so.
work now.
What would you do?
I mean,
if
I
you
have
were in
work
that
because they
position?
want to give us work. I don't
But
think anyone
them
really
giving
represents
you
me.
work and putting
I
you
hear
in
you.
the room, have they not started
I'm not
the
going to
work?
feel sorry for brands for giving me work because it's Pride Month.
I
I'm
hear
sorry.
you, and that's what I'm saying. So
Adishe.
Karabo, I love it, and that's the truth, right?
No, it really is.
Because I know I used to get very frustrated at Women's Month campaigns, and I'm just like,
Exactly.
oh,
It's like, oh my God, it's happening
yeah.
now.
So
now you want to come?
Oh yeah, shut up. Like, pay my rent. Like, I
So,
know I'm getting my rent paid in
a
June.
brand that looks at itself as an ally, a brand that says we're an ally, right? What can they do better? Okay,
See,
start where?
I rep Adidas.
Yes.
Like, shout out to y'all, 3 straps like that. Because...
Me too.
No, dead ass. Shout out.
Been
Because
like that, yeah.
I hate being othered. I hate it. It's one of the worst things that can
Okay.
happen to a queer person. It's like, oh, it's Pride Month now, so you matter. What you gotta say?
Yes.
Like,
Girl, DJs,
get out of my face. Like, get out of my face.
Yes.
Be so serious.
Okay, that's
So
what I hate about Women's Month.
Exactly. It's like, oh my God, I just found out that you have a period in August. Girl.
Okay, so put you on a platform all the time and not
Put
necessarily
me
in
on a
Pride
platform all the time, and not because I'm queer.
Okay.
Because I have
Yes.
something to offer.
Okay.
It's not because I have a great,
Got it.
and I do. My wig is human hair, 613 blend. We can go. But like, that's not the point. It's because I can mix the music. I know the music. I'm a
Yeah.
DJ because I know music. I know when the beat drops. I know what to mix with my FX. It's not because I can look beat. And I can look really pretty behind the text, but that's not all I have to sell.
Yeah.
I'm not just an image. You guys have made me work so hard to not be an image. So then just respect me like it is.
Got it. I love that so much.
That's about
I think
it.
it's so important to give you a platform all the time and not necessarily as a
Fully.
spokesperson for Pride
I
Month.
also think multiple truths can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
You could be
Exactly.
beautiful, but you could also be legendary.
Yeah.
You don't have to succumb to an image that makes you have, like, you know,
Or
put
go through
yourself
struggle either.
No, you
and I
have
want
to
to tell black
suffer.
girls that, like, we don't really have to have always been from the hood and have always fought. Like, if you're really pretty from the burbs, that's just you, babe. That's it.
And
You're
that's
pretty.
okay.
That's
You got
your
it going
access.
on.
Yeah.
That's it. And you have it. And we never had it before.
Yeah, and
So
don't be
then-
embarrassed by it.
I hate this, like, little thing that, like, some, and I say colored in a way, it's a different context in South Africa.
Yeah, bring it
people
back home.
of color. 'Cause it's so different if I say it like that.
Yeah.
In that sense that where you want to transition to this point of power where you can look down on other colored people, people of color. And it's so boring because it's like, why did you work so hard to just look down on me? Like that's, come on, girl.
And we can all
like,
exist in one space
come
and all our
on.
stories
Because
are
multiple
different.
truths exist at the same time.
There we go. Yeah.
That's about it. And I feel like
We don't appreciate each other's differences.
at all. Because
Like-
if I don't like what you're doing, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, just because I don't relate to what you do doesn't mean I have to change myself to relate to it. I can be myself. I can understand what I am doing. But I can also say, I see what you're doing and how you're doing it, and let that person
You do your own thing.
exist.
And that's okay.
So that's why the word transition has been used so much here, because it's for me and for you, and I know for you, for sure. Because I really do go through the same things that you do, and even in ways where I insert myself all the time. That's cool. But like in sense where like I'm not allowed to going into DJing. Everyone was like, "Oh, everybody's a DJ," but it's like you're lying. You've heard me play. You saw I was good, but you'll never give me that doubt because you saw me on Instagram post for Barbie. So now you respect me less. You know what I mean? And like, I could never be an actor now because it's gonna be like, oh,
Because everybody's
influencer went from, even if I took the acting class, even if I did the work, even if I went to school for being an artist completely, they'll still be like, oh yeah, but
Didn't you
she
study
got that
theatre?
popular. No, I didn't. I didn't study anything. I dropped out. I came to Joburg because I wanted to be a star, and I did.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you act tomorrow as well, there's nothing wrong with you deciding to act because that could be a talent that you
Absolutely
have,
not.
or you could have gone for that.
It could be my dream.
Yeah.
That's it. I could have
Yeah.
never had access to be in a school where I could learn acting. And that's what people don't realize. It's like we go through so much, like, as like me and my friend are trans bodies, and like I hear people in America all the time be like, you can't be a trans girl if you're not on hormones. But have you ever came to South Africa? I don't think a girl, I'm from Zitouweni. That's 3 taxis away from Joburg. To do that every single month to come take hormones, be so fucking for real, girl.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I
Yeah,
can't
no.
curse.
And I mean also the finances to be able
It's
to do that, like the
frustrating.
resources, all
So
these
much
things.
goes into being
Yeah.
black that people avoid so much.
Yeah.
And it's like you avoid it in so many circumstances.
Yeah.
In way, like, why can't we be simply influencers? Why?
Why must I be a queer
Why must I
influencer
now
or
go
trans
through so
influencer?
many trials and tribulations? Like, no, baby, actually Nike really liked me because I knew how to do my eyebrows.
Yeah, yeah.
What now?
Yeah.
Why can't I have that?
Yeah. When artists like to leave their mark on the world and a legacy, right? Because that's why we sit in a random art class in varsity, whether that's just
Yes.
an elective or your major, and you're reading about people, or when you're doing research. And-
When you become the reading.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, artists love to leave a mark on their world. What does Lulama Wolf want to leave on this planet?
So interesting.
When people read about you,
That's a
when
Beyonce
people
question.
see your images, what do you want that impact to be?
No, that is
I'm sorry if no one's ever
What do you
asked
want to
you.
do?
Question,
Oh my
like,
God. Look,
what's that word?
my thing is very simple because I just want proof of existence.
Okay.
That's all I want.
I was here.
I was here.
I told you, it's a Beyonce question.
I just want proof
Okay.
of existence.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I have a different perspective.
Okay.
It's mine. It's exclusive to what I do. It's exclusive to my people, and that's it. And I want you to know I was good at it. And yeah.
I was here and I was good at it. Nkuley, what would you want to leave?
I I have a lot of answers for this. But I watched But Race is Burning. So, so, I want to leave a real mark. Like, if I could stab the president and leave a mark, I would do it. Because I know I'm serious. I want to leave a serious mark. I don't want to leave an abstract one. If I could go and make a monument right now, I really would.
You will put a sculpture.
Yeah, because I'm gorgeous. Like, what's up? Like, babe.
So as long as you leave a mark, that's the most important
No, but I want to leave a mark where someone can take from it and go ahead. But that's my digital era, and that's what I appreciate about digitalizing. It's like, if I died right now, somebody knows my makeup tutorial. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of mark I want to leave.
There's a footprint.
I want the footprint to be as surface level as anyone has ever thought it is. I want it to be the most vain, the most shallow print that can be in the world.
Love it. Before we also wrap up, another one, and I hope this is not a Beyonce question.
I hope so.
But for someone that is a young, emerging creator, because we're able to all do it, right? Like, I can pick up my phone and be authentically Karabo, put it out on the internet, and I might just go viral tomorrow. Brands are calling literally, it's literally at your fingertips, right? But for somebody who wants to get to that point, right, who might be a digital creator right now, also a visual artist, and wants to transition to many different things, be taken seriously, leave a mark in the world, and I am just starting. As much as this career keeps changing and this business keeps changing and growing because it's still fairly new, what would you say to that young person that's only picking up their phone now and starting to create some sort of content or visual storytelling?
Is it only for storytelling or just in general creativity?
Whatever it is in your creative space.
I would say
whatever platform.
Practice as much as you can in everything you are interested in.
Okay.
Like practice. There's always this cliche, you have to do it every day to da 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 da.
Yeah, 10,000 hours.
Yeah, 10,000 hours, but that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
Yeah, I believe that
because you have to apply yourself. Essentially what it is you just have to apply yourself. What mediocrity and how incredible you are is subject to how you show yourself.
You make that up for yourself.
You are the story that shows yourself. But what the real thing is the amount of times you actually put time in what you do. You know the intricacies and you find out, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Why is my technique not the same as the last one?
Yeah.
I need to find out why. And then you go back and then you find it and then you do it better and you practice. That's it.
Love that. Put in the hours, practice.
It's really, so with practice, because I've been the editor on, I told you.
No, you haven't.
But I told you I'm a cutter, I'm a guy. So with practice comes opportunity, and practice plus opportunity means perfection. And that's what I've always known from FK to Exist My Mother. Another one. I have a lot.
mothers.
I have tramp stamps. But essentially, practice plus opportunity, because when you practice enough, when you focus on what you know, it's like if you know makeup, girl, do your makeup. If I knew fashion, I thrifted enough to be seen, to be like, oh. Because I didn't get the award. I didn't wear all those. I've never bought a designer item ever, actually. Now I can own it. I've never, ever in my life. I've never bought a designer item ever in my whole existence. And I have 2 fashion awards. And that's just only from like practice. It's been practice, because I'm just like, not even practice, it's just like, I knew what I wanted. I didn't even want a fashion award. I just wanted fashion so bad. I never even knew that that's what fashion really is. But it's like, then fashion happened and then opportunity happened. Adidas came in, the brands came in. And
so you were doing it.
Yeah, I was doing it. And that just meant that I have all this practice plus opportunity, which makes me perfection.
Yeah, and they found you ready.
Exactly. And in that, then I just become Nkuley. And that's just how that happened.
I love that. You guys have done so incredibly well.
We hope so.
You have done so incredibly
you
well. You have killed it.
And I think just keep doing the work that you do. And we will grow and evolve with you as the space keeps growing and evolving.
Yeah.
Because I also think the people in the space currently make it better for those who come behind them. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
That was Nkuley Masemola and Lulama Wolf on Half a Corner
My
Couch.
glass is gone.
We've been talking the business of me. Thank you for watching.
We could just get on it.